Sonoma Raceway is home to the start of a brand new season of Pirelli GT4 America. A bumper crop of GT4 machines has assembled, and we're ready to kick off a new season of action in one of the most competitive forms of road racing anywhere in North America. Hello, my name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick will be patrolling the pit lane for us. Cars rolling out on the start of their formation lap. We expect the first of two. If that is indeed the case, the clock will start at the end of the first one. An hour of racing, though, awaits in one of the most closely contested classes you will find on a motorsports grid anywhere. Stars abound, and some new ones will be made this year, Cal. Can't wait to get going.
Oh, it's always so exciting to have a new season with some fresh lineups. Teams who have switched equipment, some returning drivers, one who made a huge statement with the pole position here this weekend, which we'll dig into.
Let's take a look at how they'll line up. Mads Siljehaug on his return to the championship starts on the front row alongside Gresham Wagner. Then it's Alex Ellis and Kevin Boehm in row 2. Matt Million, Jesse Webb, they're in row number 3, ahead of Mike David Ortman and Colin Garrett. Sam Craven, great qualifying effort for him. He'll start next to Anthony McIntosh, completing the top 10. Then it's Alan Patton and Nate Cicero. James Walker Jr., Tony Gaples. In the Black Dog McLaren, they'll start 13th and 14th. Michael Garcia and Kurt Swearingen behind. Then Michael Oriema and Adrian Comstock. James Clay for Bimmer World and Anthony Gerasi for the Rafa Racing Team. Judson Holt, Fast Track Racing, starting in the 21st spot, ahead of Hannah Greenmeyer from Heart of Racing. Paul Sparta and Sam Owen, starting 23rd and 24th. Then Joe Catania and Alex Vogel. Eddie Killeen from Doe Motorsport making his return to the paddock, starts alongside Dan Seville, and Zoe Berry set to start out back for TPC Racing in their McLaren Artura GT4. It is a jam-packed grid, 29 cars in all, set to take the start. All GT4 class cars, but 3 classes within GT4 with Silver, Pro-Am, and Am. Basically, it comes down to the experience of the driver lineups in these cars. It's a 60-minute race format, unchanged from years past, with a mandatory pit stop in the middle for driver change, and that's it. No tire changes, no refueling. The only thing teams can do during the pit stop is change those drivers and adjust tire pressures. That will be happening at around the midpoint in the race. Understand one of the cars in the grid had a mechanical issue. That's actually the car that was supposed to start on the outside of the front row. So that's Rafa Racing's Gresham Wagner. And it looks like if they're going to start, it will be from the pit lane. That is heartbreaking for Gresham, the reigning GR Cup champion, who is going to be sharing that car with the inaugural GR Cup champion, Tyler Gonzalez. That figured to be a really strong lineup, but something has gone amiss, and they will not start from their scheduled second-place grid position.
That's a huge blow for one of the favorites for victory here today, so they've got a lot of work to do to carve their way through this really deep field.
If indeed they get to start, we hope that they do. Excited to see Gresham get this opportunity at the GT4 level, having won championships in single-make racing, MX-5 Cup, and Toyota GR Cup, as well as in the touring car classes here in this paddock. I think we have a chance to learn more as the second formation lap is underway. Amanda, what can you tell us?
Talking to Kevin Conway right now, they said it's an electrical issue. The team's trying to work through what might be possible. I can see the face of Tyler Gonzalez. You know, there's been so much excitement around this pairing. Both of these guys have won in the Toyota GR Cup. They come in as a pairing that effectively should be pretty dominant this season based on what we saw in qualifying in the sessions today. Yeah,
exactly right. Well, hopefully they can get that sorted and get out and at least try and charge from the back of this pack. It's an awesome grid of cars. We've got the lights off on the safety car, which means green flag is coming up. The clock has started on the second formation lap here as we anticipated. But how about this return to the series for Mads Siljehaug? A couple of years ago, he and the Marco Polo Motorsports team, along with Nikolai Elganian, they drove in the KTM. They've been away for a couple of years, but welcome back, and they start on pole in a field this deep.
So exciting to see them back. I was really surprised when I saw the entry. I thought we'd kind of lost them, but Mads has been busy over in Europe running some LMP3 machinery, and he's so excited to be here. And I always called Nikolai kind of the Daniel Ricciardo with a big smile, and hopefully he'll have a big one at the end of this race. Lots of time to go, though, in this one, just starting.
Unusual formation with the outside of the front row left vacant. The field into the VP acceleration zone where Rova Pole Award winner Matt Siljehaug will control the start of this race, starting all by his lonesome. It is Marco Polo Motorsports Toyota Gazoo Racing Supra GT4. Green flag waves on the 2025 season, and Siljehaug leads the charge up turn one. Whoa, wild moment there for Kevin Bohm. He shuffled back a couple of positions, or at least one. Meanwhile, one of the Member World cars with an issue further back in the pack. That's cost him a ton of spots. I believe that's James Walker Jr.
I think you're right. They're not ideal for James Walker. He had a nice qualifying run, but he got out-shuffled there a little bit. I think for Kevin Bohm, he saw Ellis in the second of the Porsches there get up to the inside, was trying to retaliate and just got out in the grade there. There's so many marbles offline here with the amount of racing we've had today. Didn't have the grip, did a nice job of just recovering that moment.
Great start from Alex Ellis, who made a handful of starts last year, both at Barber Motorsports Park, where he was a star. He'd been basically out of a race car from a driving perspective since he made one Indy Lights start right here at Sonoma, and that was well over a decade ago. Problems here for the 98. Is that Paul Sparta?
It is.
Wow.
See some debris across the racetrack as well, so there must have been some argy-bargy there coming through turn four. I'm not sure if that predicated this moment for Paul Sparta or not.
And a great welcome back to racing for Paul, who had to miss the last couple of rounds last year with a back injury. Oh, this is a big hit
Sam
there.
Owen.
Yep. It's a new McLaren for this team.
I think that's coming off of turn four, where we saw Sparta have his spin full course yellow. The rest of the field here, as we have to do a bit of a cleanup.
Wow, that was a big one. Not sure that we can say definitively that it was Owen and Sparta that came together, or if it was two separate issues. Hopefully we'll get the answer of that at some point, but big damage to the McLaren of Owen and Sparta was delayed. However, this should help him catch up to the back of the field. Bad news out of the Rafa Racing camp, as Gresham Wagner did not take the start.
Oh.
Those electrical issues, team unable to overcome them before the race began. Oh, we got a couple of cars here with some damage. James Clay also. Front fascia torn up on that machine. And there was some confusion, I think, on the part of Paul Sparta there, if he would be allowed to pass these cars under the yellow, but clearly both of them not at full speed, and so Paul did eventually make his way by, and now these two will limp back to the pit lane. But look at that debris scattered all over the racetrack.
Yeah, for James Clay and Charlie Postons, I mean, they won 2 championships, couldn't do anything wrong, and then last year they just had a year that really didn't come together. Visited victory lane a few times, but 3 wins on the year, but not a factor in the championship, and not the start they were looking for.
Let's look back at the incident. This is mid-pack. Sparta into the side of Clay, it looks like, who then gets collected by Owen, who had nowhere to go.
Yeah, just 2 BMWs not giving each other enough room there.
Well, not
It's
a
tough.
great way
You
to
get
start
down
your
to the
season.
inside there where Paul was, and there's not the amount of grip, and it's just tough. It all funnels down into that turn 4 corner, and you're in such close proximity with a massive field here, and just wasn't enough room to woe it down, and before he got into the side of James.
Think about all the work that's gone into putting these programs together, and you don't even get a racing lap in to start your season. Have you ever experienced that in your career?
I have. Yeah, it's tough to rebound from. You just got to reset. The nice thing is with doubleheader weekends, you just got to sit on it overnight versus a few weeks before you get to the next race. But for Paul Sparta, he sat out the majority of last year with that incident at Road America, kind of mid-season, I guess, and came back, did a race late last year, not in this championship, of course, but feels that he's 100% fit. There's been so much effort that he's put into his racing program, including that dual effort that they now have in the GT World Challenge field, coming up with the double podium just a few minutes ago. But yeah, he's very passionate about his own racing as well. I think the team comes first, but for Paul, he wants to do well, and he was so excited to be back here with a great effort for this year and not the start he was looking for.
He very well could have won the AM Championship last year. He and Chris Wilson were leading the points when he suffered that injury, and then Wilson ended up coming second. It was heartbreak in the season finale at IMS when they had a new co-driver alongside Mike Kanishak, who's now back with the team actually this year. If there is a positive that came out of it, they did bring in some new talent that now fills out part of their GT4 roster. But yeah, difficult few months, or 6 months really, for Paul Sparta from inside the cockpit. But we did just see his GT3 team get a double podium here to start the season a few moments ago in GT World Challenge America.
That's the roller coaster of racing. Just celebrating a double podium, as you said, and an incident early in this one. The car looks okay, so we'll have to wait and see if he draws a penalty for that moment, but maybe the car is healthy. If they can serve the penalty, get a yellow, field get stacked back up again, who knows what may happen.
Getting a look here at the back of the pack, but at a beautiful car. Zoe Berry from Flowery Branch, Georgia, originally, who is behind the wheel right now. This is a really cool initiative. She's paired up with Aurora Strauss in this car that's entered by TPC Racing under the DART car banner. DART stands for Driven Artist Racing Team. Zoe Berry and art advisor Spring McManus collaborating on this, and they're doing it to help raise awareness to the fact that only a small percentage of the people in motorsports are women, but also only a small percentage of the art that goes to auction each year is
4%.
Yeah, in
so
both.
That's why it's number 44.
Precisely.
That's the reason for the number.
Done by female artists. And so what they've chosen to do here is highlight a female artist with this livery. Micheline Thomas is the one who designed this one. It's going to be on the car all season. She also designed the helmets and the fire suits for Aurora and for Zoe. And then at the end of the year, this car will go up to auction to raise some money to help bring more women into the art space, as well as help women in motorsports. It's a really cool initiative, and great to see a beautiful looking car on the grid. From that, we go to the father-son pairing that we've seen racing against each other a lot over the last couple of years.
Yeah, Joseph and Lucas Catania, they've put on so many great performances in our TC division over the years, making the jump up to GT4 last year. I think it's a great place for them to be. How cool must it be to be running with your son? That's got to be a real moment.
Well, I've had the privilege to race with my dad a little bit at a low level, and I can say from the son's perspective, it's about as cool as can be. And they'll have a lot of fun. They did do a little bit in Pirelli GT4 America last year, in addition to the touring car racing that they had done for quite a while. 10 minutes off the clock, still under full course yellow for the cleanup of the incident that sidelined about 3 cars. Gives us a chance to head down to the pits and Amanda.
Well, Ryan, the pairing of Colin Garrett and Zach Anderson are back again to attempt for a championship season. And we were just talking off camera, bumper grid this season for Pirelli GT4. But what's the secret of avoiding traffic at Sonoma?
I mean, it's tricky. It's a roller coaster of a track, lots of topography, and it's pretty narrow. You're always working, so a lot of anticipation, a lot of high eyes wins the prize type of mentality. And you know, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong when you're both out of the race. So better to pull the chute and live to fight another day.
Well, as you and Colin kick out another season together, any off-season development that you guys worked on to prepare?
I mean, it was full throttle all the way through as normal, and we got it done late. We are kind of a race by race thing. I think we're locked in until Sebring on the budget right now, but we're gonna make it happen for sure.
Wins normally change that.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. So yeah, BMW is a really strong package. It's a good race car. We struggled in qualifying, but yeah, we're just gonna click them off and let it come to us, and we'll see how the chips fall.
Welcome back. Great to see you.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Third in the championship last year in the silver class, Colin Garrett, Zach Anderson. They're running it back again with the Auto Technic team. Great continuity for that team. Their other car as well, with Tyler Stone and Matt Million, that's up in 5th, but leading in Pro-Am at the moment. And then Colin Garrett in the car he shares with Zach Anderson, 7th overall, 6th in class. in silver. Looks like the cleanup is complete. We're about to go again with Mads Siljehaug, the Norwegian, at the front of this field. He's in the acceleration zone, started to go, then backed it back down again. Now he's going to go once more. That's interesting, to say the least. There's the green flag. We're racing again at Sonoma. It's a clean start. Alex Ellis, he picked up a spot at the initial start. Can he do it again?
Oh, a little twitch there. Oh, he's in the dirt and he turns. Our pole sitter around just got off in the dirt. They couldn't roll it down. Inevitable contact there. That's so unfortunate for both those cars.
Both drivers waiting a long time for this opportunity. Another car at least caught up in this mess. Yep. And a couple others in the background, I think, as well. Oh, so that's Siljehaug and Ellis.
Ellis seemed like he was so kind of almost preset that he was going to go for, and he gets out wide in the gray and allows Kevin Bowman to take the lead of this race. No, the random Vandals CrowdStrike entry.
No full course yellow yet, but you feel it's coming. Another car here that was caught up in the melee. It's Patton. Oh, this car's not going anywhere. Matt Million, this is the other Auto Technic car that was running in 5th at the time, so boy, that is a tough hit there for a couple of front-running cars.
Yeah, that moment for Ellis started really early. It just seemed like he was so set that he was going to go for it, and he gets out wide. There's a little twitch. Then he tries to get out of it, but he's on the gray, in the dirt, can't get it slowed down, and just nowhere to go, and just T-bones Mads and turns him around.
Wow, full course yellow number 2 is out. Kevin Bohm inherits the lead here. Mike David Ortman up into 2nd, then it's Colin Garrett. We heard from Zach Anderson, his teammate, a moment ago. He now runs 3rd. Sam Craven through to the lead in Pro-Am. Anthony McIntosh up to 2nd, 5th overall, and then Michael Garcia, M-Class leader, finds himself in the 6th spot, but the lead in AM. This could be a lengthy cleanup here, Cal. At least 4 cars caught up in this mess, and quite a bit of fluid down on the track.
These cars are at pretty high speed here. They need to slow it down. There's a lot of action up there in turn 2 still.
There we go. Safety car has picked up the leader, but they're crawling to a stop there. Up.
See the fluid on the track as well.
Well, it worked great for Alex Ellis on the initial start.
Yeah.
Very aggressive, picked up a spot and tried to do the same thing. Just couldn't quite get up alongside Siljehaug, tipped him around, and that was right at the very front of the field. And a blind part of the track, too. And a lot of cars bunched together with nowhere to go.
Yeah, just, yeah, I get it. Is one thing about being committed, but at that corner offline, I mean, you really got to feel out the situation a little bit more, and I just think I was too overzealous, to be honest with you, with that move.
Yep. The end result certainly would indicate that. Talked to Alex earlier in the weekend, and he was so fired up. He's been waiting a long time for a full season chance like this. And it does not end the way he hoped it would here in the first race of the season. Kevin Bohm is back for another round as we see Matt Million out of the car, just forced to survey the damage. And this is a hit for them. I know they're working to get the funding together to put all this together. This is a scrappy team.
And sometimes I reflect on, you know, the amount of effort that it takes to campaign a race program. And you spoke to Zach Anderson there. He said, we're working hard. We don't have all of the funds in place. But from the checkered flag at Indianapolis, everyone on this field be focused on this first race of the season, and for it to come to such a short ending is devastating.
Let's look at it again, Cal. What do you see?
I mean, Mads was certainly committed too. He had a little twitch. Ellis was even more to the right-hand side of the road, just no grip there. And then you see the other carnage and argy-bargy that happens. Jesse Webb, I'm not sure where his damage is that's actually parked him on the side of the road.
Yeah, nothing visible. Must be on the right-hand side. Another fast car and driver. We talk about the ups and downs of motorsports. What a
The JMF is too.
What a 30 minutes it's been.
Coming off a victory on debut in GT3, and then to see one of their leading cars out early.
Well, already nearly 20 minutes off the clock, and unfortunately very little, precious little of it has been run under green flag conditions. This has given the field a bit of a shake-up as well. Some very fast cars will not be taking any further part. And you know, it started this way, didn't it? We got the news right away that our second fastest qualifier had electrical gremlins and couldn't take the start, and it's just been utter chaos ever since.
Yeah, well, we're only 6 minutes away of the first pit stop potential, so they may elect to move that pit stop window a little bit or increase the maximum stint time.
Yeah, let's talk about how that works, because this could come into play. If you remember, a few years ago, there was a prescribed pit window. There was a prescribed pit window that was set by the regulations. It's a little bit different, though, now, Calvin, because you have basically stint length limits that de facto set that pit window. However, if there's a yellow, that can change the way that those drive time limits work.
Yeah, they'll basically shift them a little bit if everyone's boxed in and pit lane is closed. So we'll have to wait and see here what happens exactly. It's not locked in stone, I think, that you couldn't open up the pit stop window whilst we're under yellow.
So we'll see if that comes into play or not. We're still behind the safety car. That gives us a chance to head back down to Amanda in the pits.
Well, and the co-driver of Kenton Cook is right behind that safety car, actually just walked up from the celebrations at the podium when that crash happened in a new fire suit, as well as one was covered in champagne. And this one, GT4, just switching from GT3 to GT4, what is the biggest challenge for you? I know you're a professional, but what does it require?
Like I said, make sure you hit the brakes in the right place, basically. No, actually, the two cars, you don't have to change a whole lot. But the steering feels very different. It was kind of funny the first time I transitioned from the GT3 to the GT4 this weekend. I was like, you guys have the front bar hooked up on this thing? Because it feels like it's a little sloppier, you know, because the GT3 is like, poo, 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 you know, really responsive. But yeah, it's been a fun kind of transition back and forth, and cool to be driving with Kevin again this year. And he did a heck of a job to avoid the mayhem out there. So hopefully we can get it going green here shortly. Have a clean rest of the race so we can give some entertainment to everyone.
And from 1 year ago, when you look at this pairing just starting and to now, what are you most proud of between you and Kevin?
I mean, obviously just the relationship that we've built over the last couple of years has been nice. Went out for his birthday after the season was over and surprised him and got to meet a new side of him. Got to see an old high school picture of him back in the day, and his middle name is Kurt, and man, he had some luscious hair back in the day, and he's starting to grow it back just a bit, and so we're calling the long-haired portion Kurt. This is the new Kevin that we're working on.
Okay, so it's like a Clark Kent Superman thing.
Maybe, I don't know. Kurt's way cooler though, I think.
All right, guys, we are Team Kurt, I guess, this weekend.
I was going to make.
got some Kurt bangs going on.
He
there,
does.
Yeah.
I was going to make the Superman reference for Kenton, making the wardrobe switch so quick. He hops out of the phone booth, right, and he's got his different outfit on. But I guess we'll use it for Kurt Bohm here. I have seen this picture, by the way. His wife Sharon likes to show this off. We all went through a phase, I think it's safe to say, and you know, that you look back on and maybe don't have the most pride of, but you know, most of us move on. It sounds like Kevin's going back to it, or Kurt is, at least.
Fun group, though. I think the relationship is certainly built. I think Kevin learned so much last year. Spoke to him here earlier this weekend. He just said, you know, I learned so much from Kenton, and I know what I need to do a little bit differently to really up my game this year. He's such a talented driver, and he's so smart, really understands the intricacies of setting up a race car very, very well. So they're going to be tough to beat for this championship.
Well, Cal, Kevin went pro racing for the first time in 2020, ran in TC America. in the subsequent years, he has never finished worse than third in the championship. Won the TCA title in 2020, runner-up in TC in 2021, won the TC title in 2022, made the transition to GT4 America in 2023, was third the first year, second the second year, going for the title here this year.
Zach Anderson doing, what do I do with my hands impression there?
Usually it's Matt Travis making the Talladega Nights references, but he's not doing Pirelli GT4 America this year, so someone's got to pick up the mantle. We'll see Matt, and already have, in GT America GT4 competition. NOLA Sport, though, still well represented, with a car here, Michael Oriema starting their Pro-Am machine. Runs 7th in class at the moment. Mateus Laced was super fast all week as well, his co-driver, and they should start at the pointy end, if I'm not mistaken, for race 2 tomorrow. So look at the NOLA Sport car right there. Cleanup still continues for the second incident of the race. Everyone waiting impatiently to get started with this brand new season. And they'll have to wait just a little bit longer, really, to get any kind of racing done in earnest. These drivers that are doing the first stint, they basically won't get any green flag racing until race 2 at the earliest, with the way this is going. Now we wait to see what will be done with the pit window.
Yeah, pit window is now open, so 36:30. Oh, that was tight, really late call. That was dodgy. He crossed the line there as well, so that's a no-no.
Yeah, I don't think you could do that, and that is a front runner in Pro-Am. That's Anthony McIntosh there from JTR. He was well past the dotted line into the solid line, and I don't think that's going to be kosher.
I'm curious to know if the front of the field were basically at the pit entry before they could basically come in, do a 90-second stop and leave and not be outside the 35 minutes maximum drive length. So we'll have to wait and see how this one shuffles out, but I'm pretty sure the leader, for example, Kevin Bowen, stayed out.
Yep.
And the tail end of the field had the opportunity to make this earlier stop.
If you recall, this happened at a race at Barber last year, and a couple teams were wise enough to realize that, yeah, if you come in early, you're better off just sitting in your pit box a little bit for the extra 10-15 seconds. You're going to lose some position, but you'll at least cycle through ahead of those that elected to stay out. Anyway, we'll sift through all of this in just a moment as the driver changes are underway. That's Tony Gaples out and Michael Cooper in for Black Dog Speed Shop.
Tony's won here before and Michael's won here 8 times, so they got pretty good history here. Black Dog's the team has won a ton of times as well, so.
This is a car to keep an eye on in the second half of this race now that ex-IndyCar driver Mateus Laced is on board. There he goes.
Making the move from the Mercedes platform over to Porsche. So all of these cars that are exiting the pit lane with less than 35 minutes to go are good regarding the maximum stint length of 35 minutes in this race.
It looks to me that 10 cars did not pit. Those cars then will need to do so, and whether it happens under this yellow or after a subsequent restart, they will cycle behind those that did make the call to the pit lane. Your point earlier, Calvin, is we were at a weird point where the front runners couldn't have done the minimum time and still come out with, you know, enough time to fulfill the drive time rules still on the clock. What they would have needed to do is come in and wait a little longer.
Wait longer, yeah. Which may have been the way to go.
Yep.
I mean, I think we'll see how it plays out, but I think coming in and just being stationary a little bit longer would have been better.
Yeah, so this is going to put some more really fast cars toward the back. I suspect this means that Zach Anderson will cycle through to the lead of the race. Brayton Arthur for JMF Motorsports would come through to second. Pit work by the Black Dog crew because that has Michael Cooper to the de facto lead in the class. They are the best placed Pro-Am car of those that has made a pit stop.
Yeah, and for Michael Cooper, he knows this car well. He's already won a race with the same platform in a different championship earlier this year at Daytona. So that's a good fit. And now we see the front half of this field. As we said, they were just too close to pit lane to come in, just do the minimum stop time and get back out. They had exceeded the max drive time for their second driver. And the problem for these guys is that when the other cars that pitted, you think, well, it basically should be even out. But the problem is for the teams that elected to pit, they've been able to run at speed. So they're going to come around and gain that track position behind the safety car while everyone else serves their pit stop.
As you see happening here, when this happened at Barber last year, we talked about it being such a fluke scenario. You have to have the yellow at that exact time and to be coming around the pit entrance at that weird, awkward time. But sure enough, it's happened again, and that has certainly caught out about 10 cars at the very least.
Our pole sitter who took that big hit up into turn one is actually leading this race again. So unfortunately, they would have been deep in the pack and could have probably come into pit lane if they'd chosen to.
Yeah, they have not pitted.
Correct.
Yep, so that has them even more on the back foot, I would suspect here. Looking at the pit stop times from those that we've seen so far, the ACI Motorsports car, Dan Seville, Luke Hartog, they were just slightly under the minimum.
Yeah, you're allowed up to a 2-second deficit on that, but if you go over 2 seconds quicker, you have to do a drive-through penalty. Up to 2 seconds is a multiplier of 10, so that could be a 20-second push race penalty that can plummet you down the order. You got to be on top of that.
Well, the other pit stop times look a-okay. Even from this group, really great work by the Random Vandals team. They were right there within a fraction of a second, 0.3 of a second of the minimum, but unfortunately all that does is it keeps them ahead of the other 10 cars that were caught out by this yellow and how it fell timing-wise with the pit window. So Celia Haug leads, but owes us a pit stop. Zach Anderson is then the de facto race leader in that Autotechnic BMW, second in line, with Braden Arthur just behind in the Aston from JMF Motorsports. Michael Cooper then in the orange Black Dog Speed Shop McLaren leads in Pro-Am, fourth on the road ahead of Riley Dickinson, Tyler McQuarrie, and Parker Thompson. But Thompson's in that 69 car that's under review for the pit entry, presumably, that we talked about at the time. That's the car that McIntosh started.
Yeah, you're supposed to be pit commit. You see it coming up there where that solid white line is screen right now. You got to basically be all four wheels to the right of that, and definitely the 69 car McIntosh crossed that very late. It was probably communication, didn't know whether he should come or not. See cars piling in the pit lane, they say pit, pit, pit. And he's obviously going to respond to that. I would imagine how it went down.
That would make some sense. Another car with a pit stop under review is the 9. We already talked about that, though. We know from timing and scoring that they were just under the minimum, and so it's going to be a time penalty.
Shame that Mads didn't pick. I mean, certainly I can't look at the angle of the suspension from the camera that we have here, but looking at the bodywork, despite him taking that hit in the right-hand side, the car looks to be in pretty good shape considering.
It looked like it was to the door mostly, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully then the car is still pointed the right direction. I'm surprised they've left him out, though.
Yeah, I think certainly a missed opportunity there. But again, when you're coming back into the championship and you just got all the chaos going on, what to do, what's the right thing to do.
Adding to this rather lengthy list of oddities, apparently Gresham Wagner has entered the race in the car that was supposed to start on the outside of the front row that never took the green with electrical problems. So at least the Rava Racing Team crew was able to get to the bottom of that, way down the order. But that will give Gresham and Tyler Gonzalez
really brings up a great question in terms of 35-minute maximum drive time.
No way they're meeting that.
Well, no,
Whoa,
you mustn't exceed it. Does Gresham even have to get in the car?
Oh, I see your point. You mean, so Tyler wouldn't have to maybe get in the car. right? Because Gresham's in it now, I think.
Oh, copy, yes.
But yeah, I
other way
see your
around,
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
There's no minimum drive time, it's just maximum.
I mean, it really, well, it could matter a little because we have had quite a bit of attrition.
Yeah. Good question.
Let's try and get
There's
an answer
always
to
a
that.
what if, isn't there?
You're the king of what ifs, Calvin.
Yes.
Lights off on the safety car. Mercifully, that means it looks like a green flag is imminent, and it's a whole new cast of characters, barring Mad Celia Haug. So hopefully this group can keep it green at least.
Yeah, Mads has probably got to come because he could probably maybe nip one more lap and sneak in next time by, but 35 minutes is maximum drive time. Yeah, he's got to come now.
And he'll follow the safety car into the pits, and so that will turn the effective lead of the race over to Zach Anderson as forecasted, with young Braden Arthur right behind. Then the leader in Pro-Am, Michael Cooper, ahead of Riley Dickinson and Tyler McQuarrie. Parker Thompson is 7th. Kenny Schmid, leader in Am, he's up to 8th. Mateus Lace, Thomas Merrill, the top 10 as the leaders enter the VP acceleration zone. And off we go. Green flag waves here at Sonoma Raceway, and immediately Mateus Lace goes on the attack. He picks up another spot. Anderson, though, leads the field up the hill here under green.
Nice move by McQuarrie there. I think he gained a spot there up into turn 2.
Thompson shoved wide in that blue Supra. Oh, that was tight at the apex there. Able to back out of it and keep it clean. How about Kenton Cook? Can he muscle his way back up into the top positions after getting caught out on strategy just a little bit ago?
Yeah, just outside the top 10. When we get back to green, he's already making some moves here, so it's definitely not out of the game to get back onto that podium at least, maybe more, maybe a victory, who knows. He can certainly perform some miracles.
Side by side here, further back in the pack. This is Mateus Lace looking to go around the outside, fighting with Riley Dickinson, reigning Carrera Cup champ, making his debut in this series. That's left Lace vulnerable now. Thomas Merrill looking pretty aggressive. That's the white Aston.
So much talent through this field. Thomas Merrill, great to see him here in competition once more. Kenny Schmid now leads in Am.
Good fight as BMW makes the pass on the Aston there. That's McQuarrie up another position. Not a class battle, but he did get around Arthur. That brings him now to the back door of Michael Cooper, who leads in Pro-Am. Here's Kenton Cook trying to make his way up through this field.
Anna Grisham behind the wheel of the Heart of Racing machine. They won here last year in class and then got moved to a different category, of course, so they certainly have fond memories of Sonoma Raceway.
Penalties handed down. Drive through to the 37. That's for a start violation. We're going to have another drive-through as well. That is to Parker Thompson in the 69. We expected that as well. That was for the unsafe pit entry.
For his teammate, of course.
Correct.
Paul Parker got behind the wheel. Here comes Kenton Cook, making moves left, right, and center.
Yeah, already inside the top 10 overall once again. 3rd in the silver class, crucially. That pass on Grisham was a big one because it was for the final step of the podium in silver, but now Kenton needs to put his head down to get up to Braden Arthur, who runs 4th on the road. It's a long way to get there, but he still has 24 minutes.
He does. What this little strategy player's done has kind of broken off a potential for a Kevin Bone versus Zach Anderson battle once again. We saw that so many times last year. Certainly look to see that renewed in 2025, but unless Kenton can pull off a miracle and grab 8 more positions, it's going to be a long road ahead to get to the lead of this race, but you never know. See what sort of pace he's got here once it settles in.
There's another penalty as forecasted. That is to Hartog, who is the reigning Carrera Cup champ. Mentioned that for Riley Dickinson, but that was actually 2 years ago. So Hartog will have 3.31 seconds added to his final race time on the adjusted results a little bit later on. Well, this has been plenty confusing to start the new season, but with 23 minutes, 24 seconds left here in race 1. Let's just focus in on the battles as they evolve. Right now, our eyes are on Kenton Cook as he charges back up through this field, and he's got Luke Hartog as his target just out the windshield.
Yeah, climbing all over that curb through turn 2. He's a man on a mission right now. He'll have made that adjustment like he spoke to Amanda about between that GT3 car that he stood on the podium with about an hour or so ago into GT4 rhythm immediately.
Leader in AM, Kenny Schmid, Rafa Racing, with the frustrating start, of course, for the other car that was supposed to start on the front row, but this car's given it a great run. He's got Josh Green just behind. Meanwhile, here's Matthias Laced coming under attack. Thomas Merrill looking really, really strong right there in the Aston Martin, but he's got to be careful because Hartog is there ready to go on the attack, as is Kenton Cook.
This is great stuff. Now we're starting to get into race mode here. Second driver's in. Unfortunate for the starting drivers here today, didn't really see any full racing action, but the battle is on. And a bit of a shake-up with that strategy call, with half the field being split in terms of when they can make that early pit stop. So some really fast cars on the back foot here trying to cut their way through the field.
There's Dickinson poking his nose out of line, trying to fill up the mirrors just a bit of Braden Arthur, who's starting to back up to this pack a little bit. In the meantime, Zach Anderson leads. Michael Cooper putting in a stout run as well for Black Dog Speed Shop. Ray Sorensen and the gang, they were on it from a strategy perspective. That got them to the lead in Pro-Am, and now Cooper, already a race winner in the McLaren Artura this year. That was in IMSA at Daytona, looking to make it another win here on this young 2025 campaign.
Yeah, certainly the team has run the McLaren before, but first time with this Artura, so it's early days, but certainly really impressive. Did a shakedown with the car. You got Cooper's experience, and Tony Gaples, was such a great racer. We talk about how many positions he always seems to gain during the race, and he did that through strategy and a little bit of luck in terms of where you were in the pack and able to make that early pit stop.
This is fantastic nose-to-tail racing with some top-level drivers as well in this mix. The charge through the field is stalled out a little bit for Kenton Cook because he's caught these Pro-Am cars, all of which have their pros behind the wheel. Just saw a moment ago Braden Arthur slipped wide in the JMF Aston. That's allowed Dickinson through. Now Matthias Laced will try and line up a similar move.
Yeah, Laced has been really quick here this weekend in this Porsche, so he's on the attack right now. Looks to the inside, bold move down to the inside, really nicely done.
That was total commitment, but he gets the NOLA Sport car up another spot, and he can take off in pursuit of Dickinson for 4th in Pro-Am.
Here comes Hartog, he's got the momentum. Does he have anywhere to go for basically a roadblock in front of him? He flicks it to the outside in that black, yellow, and white Porsche. Can he make it stick? Kenton Cook to the inside, uses that curve, gains the grip there, and gets the launch off the corner.
He does, but now the track bends back to the left. That has Hartog on the inside for the run through turn 1 and 2. That massive climb up the hill to the high point of the track, but Cook sends it in around the outside, and now the track comes back his direction. And Kenton Cook makes it done, gets it done.
So impressive. We're seeing other drivers get in trouble there, but Kenton just felt that perfectly on the dirty side of the racetrack, still able to make the move stick.
Hey, and this is now for position. Braden Arthur second in silver. Kenton Cook is on the doorstep. Arthur doing a nice job. A little light on experience. Did some testing out here on the West Coast a couple of weeks ago, and he and his co-driver, Aston factory driver, Mike David Ortman, they've been just living life out here on the West Coast the last couple of weeks. Loving the experience, getting to know one another. That's going to be a fun pairing to chart.
Off the road.
Yep, that cost him another spot. As looks like it was that Stu McAleer who was able to come through, perhaps. I think it was. So Stu up a couple of positions here. This is his pro racing debut, and proud brother Stephen McAleer, he's watching, cheering his brother on. He told me it's way worse than being behind the wheel himself.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Great to see that name back in our championship. So much success here over the years for Stephen.
Might have misspoke, though. That might have been Josh Green actually getting that spot. Stu's back in 12th, just a couple of positions in arrears, but still putting in a strong debut. There he is with the Fast Track Racing team. up with Nate Cicero here this weekend.
And Cook going to work once again. Arthur right in front of him, that JMF entry. Holding on at P2. Kennan really eating up these curbs here. He's finding some grip on top of those as they start to rubber in a little bit. Slides it over the top of 3. Really feeling it. This is a fun racetrack. We talk about how challenging it is to learn, but once you know it well and know the nuance, it can really be a ride around here.
Certainly so.
It's a roller coaster. He tucks it to the inside. That was sweet. Just rolled off the brakes there and just had the carving ability with that front end to just tuck it in nicely and get the grip.
Just the slightest of bobbles opened up the door. Kenton Cook up the inside, grabs second place in silver. The leader in class is the leader overall. That might be too much to ask for, but still a good recovery when they got caught on the back foot strategically to be able to get back through the Pro-Am runners, get to the second place car in class, and ultimately take the spot away with still 17 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, trouble for Kenton is he's got so many great drivers and fast cars in front of him, like Thomas Merrill, like Matthias Lace, Riley Dickinson, Macquarie, Cooper, who leads in Pro-Am still for Black Dog Speed Shop. Zach Anderson sits out front to the tune of 0.7 of a second. There's a little bit argy-bargy there. Laced us through on Dickinson.
Fantastic from Matthias Laced. Dickinson was forced to be really defensive there, just kept closing the door. And I think you're right, that Laced might have used the bumper just a bit to create an opening, and he is through. That's for third in class in the Pro-Am ranks. And he's got Tyler McQuarrie just up the road as his next target.
Yeah, I think that was subtle enough. He may get away with that one. Just good, hard racing.
Look at the timing screen to the left there, and all the big movers we've seen. Up 13 spots, the Nola Sport Porsche of Michael Oriema and Matthias Laced. Up 18 spots, Dan Seville and Luke Hartog.
Quarry has the fastest lap of this race as he chases after Cooper. About a second and a half back.
Matt Bell also, this is American Matt Bell, by the way. We have 2 Matt Bells in the paddock this weekend. Also have Rob Bell here, interestingly enough, but American Matt Bell in the McLaren here, up 15 spots. The car that Alex Vogel started, and he's got designs on picking up another one. Luke Hartog just ahead.
Yeah, and they're another team that has made the move, had success last year with the Mercedes AMG platform, so Vogel and Bell making the switch to the McLaren platform as well. It's a really fast race car, and Matt Bell can get the job done. Been missing for a few years, great to see him back in our paddocks.
There has been an incident responsibility penalty. This goes back to the opening lap, though. This was the Paul Sparta, James Clay. There's one other car involved in that too. Incident from Sam Owen, maybe from the very start of the race, and a penalty assessed to Paul Sparta. Frankly, not super surprised there, having seen the replays. But
teammate will have to serve that now in the second phase of this race. So a lot to sort out in the steward's room. There's a lot going on there, and you got to wait for Green Flag Racing to be able to serve that penalty anyway. But that will drop them down the order.
That's right, it's Michael Kanishak driving that 98 right now, currently 4th in AM, and that will send them plummeting down a couple of positions.
Kanishak had just laid down the fastest lap of the race in the AM division at 1:43.476. It was about half a second off the ultimate pace of Michael Cooper and Zach Anderson up front, who are running high 42s.
Side-by-side fight here as Braden Arthur comes under attack from Josh Green. Another Random Vandals entry, different paint scheme here this year.
Paul Sparta is so high on Josh Green, really believes he's a super talent that's going to make a mark this year.
From Mount Kisco, New York. Very successful junior open wheel career. Made it as far as Indy Next. Made 6 starts in the series just below IndyCar back in 2023. They've got this chance to go sports car racing in a couple series last year, and now with the might of Random Vandals behind him, you do think this could be a star in the making.
Hartog deep on the brakes. Green has to give it to him, otherwise there was going to be contact. He saw it a little late and wisely decided that he had to let him go, and this has given Bell a bit of a run there in the McLaren at the same time.
Here comes Bell to the outside. These are positional changes here, so Green's going to fight as hard as he can.
Yeah.
Looks like he's able to hang on for the moment, keeping the McLaren behind, but moved Hartog up a spot.
That was nicely done by Josh Green. They just really widened his arc to make it really tough for Matt Bell to run the cushion around the outside, up the hill, through turn 1. Good racecraft there by Josh Green.
Hartog's going to be a busy boy this year. He's got a Le Mans entry to his name. He'll be doing some races in GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup this season, some Sprint Cup races too, in addition to a partial schedule here. And when he can't be in this car, Kai Van Berlo will be coming back to make some cameo starts alongside Dan Seville. So they're in a really strong position. Hartog also named to a 24 Hours of the Nürburgring SP9 Pro ride not so long ago. That should be a very stout lineup that has a chance to go for glory in one of the great 24-hour races in on the planet.
Yeah, I think Porsche really like that young man. He's got a ton of talent coming up through their ranks up front. Certainly a great battle between Zach Anderson and Michael Cooper for the overall lead. Macquarie's done a great job here. Be a good start to their campaign for James Walker Jr. and Tyler Macquarie, trying to rebound from what wasn't a great 2024. They felt they had so much potential, but season never really came together for them.
No, especially on the heels of such a strong 2023 where they were championship runner-up with 3 wins. Did manage to get a couple of wins last year, but when it wasn't going well, it was going very, very poorly, and usually to no fault of their own. A look here at the leader in AM, Kenny Schmid, putting in a strong run, but doesn't have too much of a buffer. Does have 1 car between himself and the next car in class. There's Hannah Grisham there, back in 14th overall, 4th in silver. But then you look back to Ogburn, who's running 2nd in AM, 15th overall. And if there's any slip up here from Kenny, Ogburn's right there to capitalize.
Yeah, Garcia's having a good run as well. They sit 3rd in AM, and Lucas Catania now behind the wheel of the rigid speed BMW. They sit 4th in AM currently.
I think perhaps, I could be wrong, but my recollection is that Alex Garcia, Michael Garcia, the 2 brothers, maybe they got caught out by that pit window situation because they were running in the leading class for a time early on. Whoa, little agricultural excursion there. This is what? Ogburn and Garcia. Speak of the devil.
Still but 10 minutes to go in this race. So whatever you got, use it up. Michael Cooper, how badly does he want the overall win? Class victory is perfect for the championship, of course, but he'd love that little cherry on the top. The nice thing is he can basically have that debate in his mind because he's not feeling any pressure from Macquarie behind, who sits about 2.2 seconds back of Michael Cooper currently.
Yeah, I think as long as this gap stays stagnant running behind Anderson, there's no reason to push the issue. But if you start to see Macquarie looming a little bit larger, then suddenly there is more impetus to try and make a move.
Works the other way too, right? For Zach Anderson, how much does he want to fight it knowing he can afford to give up 5 positions even and still claim the class victory?
Both of these drivers have had to scrap and claw for their opportunities over the years. Michael Cooper has been able to be a factory driver on a couple of occasions for GM and for McLaren. Zach Anderson would very much like to be in that position someday and has used this championship to showcase his quality. Going for a title here once again, running it back with Auto Technic as we talked about earlier in the show.
Cooper, so much success in this paddock. 4-time champ, 8 victories here at Sonoma. This would, even if he finishes 2nd on the road, it'll be a class victory, so that would add to that tally.
Cooper, as we look at, this is, well, I thought this was a car serving a penalty. This is the, this is probably just the pit stop actually for the Rafa Racing Team cars. Gresham Wagner, Tyler Gonzalez. We did get confirmation that they would be required to run both drivers in order to be classified, so that's probably what's happening here. That car got about a half-hour late start to this race. Electrical gremlins, and it makes you wonder what might have been. They were set to start on the outside of the front row.
Yeah. Certainly super talented driver pairing, two of the very best in our paddock, just amazing talents. And putting them in the same car is almost unfair because they can both be the finisher or the starter, doesn't matter.
Exactly what Toyota wants to see from their GR Cup Series. Their last two champions running side by side here in the next step of the pyramid, stepping up to GT4 competition. I think that is a pairing to conjure with here in 2025. If they don't rattle off a couple of race wins, at least I would be stunned.
Tyus Lace now has the fastest lap of this race at 142.4. Ken Cook at 142.7 as the second fastest race lap.
7 minutes to go in the race. Michael Cooper sits in second overall, half a second behind the overall leader in a different class, and Amanda has more on Black Dog Speed Shop.
Yeah, Ryan, it's a little bit of an in-depth story. I want to start off by thanking Taylor Bedell for sending us preseason stats. I think she called it Christmas in January, but what it brought my attention to was some of the winningest drivers in SRO history, and at the very top of that list is a name that we all know very well in Peter Cunningham with 43 class wins. Well, underneath that with 41 is George Kurtz, and with 38 is Michael Cooper. Well, George Kurtz picked up his 42nd win overall, and Michael Cooper could push his to 39. So in active drivers, we have two of those guys on property here today.
I guess that Tony Gables is pretty high on that list too. If you think about all the races he's run over the years across various iterations of this series, but great stuff there, and thanks to the SRO staff for tracking that down. That's Matt Million, and he is the driver of one of the cars collected in that second incident. That forlorn look, I mean, you've seen it before and we'll see it again. That's the ups and downs of this game.
Well, hopefully for anyone who's involved in an incident here today, you just hope that the car is repairable overnight and they can sit on the grid tomorrow. There's separate qualifying sessions, so if you're out early, it doesn't affect your race day too. Like some of the other classes that we have where it's your fastest lap, that counts. So that's a double whammy if you get taken out in one of those events. But with the separate qualifying sessions, you can rebound tomorrow and have a good day.
This car showing some battle scars. Left side door probably will be replaced before tomorrow. But still fast. Zach Anderson doing what he needs to keep Michael Cooper behind, fight for the overall lead. But not sure how much either wants to push the issue. Tyler McQuarrie not making inroads, quite frankly, back in third. In the meantime, we watch as Ogburn continues in his pursuit of Schmid, but in the meantime, he's being pressured in return by Alex Garcia.
Yeah, this is a good battle here for the final spot on the AM podium. Schmid has got Hannah Grisham as somewhat of a buffer between he and Ogburn. Certainly looks like Garcia's got his eyes set on maybe gaining another step on that podium run.
Something has happened to Matt Bell in the McLaren. He has dropped 3 positions at least on this lap. And it continues to fall down timing and scoring. Tough luck for Matt and for Alex Vogel. We're in for a pretty good day, all things considered. Promotes Stu McAleer up to now the 8th spot. Or maybe it's just a transponder glitch because he's popped back up and now drops down the order again. So we'll have to get to the bottom of that.
Garcia's on the attack. He's moving all over the racetrack to try and harry Ogburn here into making a mistake.
Shares this car with his brother Michael, who picked up a podium in TC America in race 1 of the weekend. That was back on Friday, actually. Finished second in that race. Now running alongside his brother. They did 1 race together, not even the 2 on a normal race weekend, just 1 race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last season.
Garcia a little bit wide there through the carousel, so he's lost a few more car lengths here to Ogburn, so he's just got to regroup here. He's really driving the wheels off this Aston Martin. Meanwhile, towards the front of the pack, Kenton Cook has caught Thomas Merrill here, I believe.
Dickinson just got by laced right there, and that looked very, very easy.
It did. It really did. If Laced has got an issue, he's accelerating fine off the corner, but that did look easy.
What you expect to see.
Huh.
That puts Dickinson back onto the podium.
Yeah, that was bizarre, but unless we just caught something really late, but it just looked like Laced just opened the door and let him drive on by. About the talent of the names up front: Anderson, Cooper, Macquarie, Dickinson, Lace, Merrill, Cook, Hartog. Amazing.
Certainly so. Incredible depth of talent here. It's Michael Oriema, teammate to Laced, with the rest of the Noah Sport team. John Shurik in the background, the team owner, trying to come. It looked like they were as confused by that as we were, so not sure we have a full perspective on what happened as we enter the final 2 minutes. Oh, and problems for Garcia. This was the third place car in AM, and it does not look like it's at full song.
No, for sure there's an issue.
Hate to see that for the two brothers. It was amazing when Michael was on the podium in his first TC race on Friday. The first person there to give him a hug was his brother Alex.
Sometimes when that's this late in the go and you say fuel, but with the amount of yellow, that would be a major miscalculation. Yes. There's no refueling on the pit stops in GT4 competition, so that would say not the case.
So close to a podium result in class, and that car is stopped. Not in a great spot. We are on the final lap, though, as Zach Anderson has seen the white flag. Michael Cooper just behind. Then it's Macquarie, Dickinson, Laced, Merrill, Cook, Hartog, Arthur, and Green waving yellow to cover the stopped car on the side of the track, but otherwise we stay green outside of that zone.
They are pushing there. Michael Cooper had a big twitch there. He's not trying to defend from anyone, so the reason he's pushing is he wants that overall top spot, and he's trying to keep the pressure on Zach Anderson, see if he cracks here over the final lap.
That'll be the goal, but as they run, both would pick up season opening victories in their respective classes. Anderson in silver, Cooper in Pro-Am. Now, Black Dog did win a race last year, but Michael wasn't there for it. He had to miss that one at Sebring. Max Root drove alongside Tony Gaples. So it's been a little while since Michael has won in Pirelli GT4 America.
I think he bounced back and grabbed the pole on return, didn't he? But yeah, he didn't get in victory lane with Tony last year.
This would be a great way to kick off the season and resume the relationship the team had several seasons back with McLaren. He's still pushing, looking for the overall win. Zach Anderson wants nothing of that. He wants all the glory for himself, and why not? The Auto Technic driver down to the hairpin for the final time. Here comes Cooper looking up the inside, trying to force an error, but it's not meant to be. Zach Anderson and Colin Garrett teaming up once more with Auto Technic. They'll take the win in the silver class to start the season, and Black Dog Speed Shop returns to victory lane. In SRO America, Michael Cooper and Tony Gaples win in Pro-Am. Now we wait for our leader in the AM class, and how about Kenny Schmid taking over in the second stint for Anthony Gerasi, and for all the disappointment with their other car, the Ravo Racing team does get to victory lane, albeit in the AM class. Gerasi and Schmid teaming up to get the victory to start 2025. It took a while to get going. First 30 minutes by and large behind the safety car, but that second stint showcased how good GT4 racing can be.
Yeah. And certainly the timing of that pit window opening just really threw the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of some of the leading cars getting dropped down the order. Obviously, the one that stands out was Kevin Bohm that was leading. couldn't take the pit stop when half the field further back did. But nice job by Kent and Cook of rebounding, getting the car up to 7th overall, but more importantly, 2nd in the silver standings. So they'll be content with that. A little frustrated, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, another solid podium to start their campaign.
Definitely, and a good recovery as well. There are your winners in Pro-Am. Michael Cooper had the honor of bringing that car home. That's another win on his illustrious CV. And Tony Gaples back in victory lane as well, longtime campaigner from the Chicago area.
Yeah, Tony's had success here, won here in 17, had a monster shunt a couple of years later, so he certainly had a roller coaster ride here at Sonoma. But for that team, that's now 44 wins. They won 5 championships along the way, but this will be their 8th victory at Sonoma, and 6 of those have come with Michael Cooper.
Yeah, longtime co-drivers in a lot of different types of cars. Zach Anderson waving to the fans trackside, to the quarter workers as well. He and Colin Garrett teaming up to take the victory here in race 1 of the year. They were 3rd in the championship last year, and now will go for the title in 2025. Results from race 1 of the season. Colin Garrett, Zach Anderson by half a second over Tony Gaples and Michael Cooper, but those two pairings respectively with class wins in Silver and Pro-Am. Rest of the Pro-Am podium, James Walker Jr., Tyler McQuarrie, good day for them. Riley Dickinson and Kurt Swearingen, really strong showing as well to finish 3rd in class. The rest of the Silver podium, Kenton Cook and Kevin Boehm, Mike David Ortman and Braden Arthur will hold on to finish 3rd in Silver here today for JMF Motorsports. Winners already this afternoon in GT World Challenge America. As far as the AM class goes, Kenny Schmid, Anthony Gerasi team up for the Rafa Racing team to pick up the victory. That's the team that for many years was known as Smooge Racing. Slightly different ownership group, new name as well. More on that throughout the season, I'm sure. Then Ogburn and the father and son duo of the Catanias completing the podium in AM. Well, there's Michael Cooper climbing out of the McLaren. He's got Ray Sorensen there to greet him, to give him a hug. Longtime team manager with deep racing roots back to Newman Haas in the kart days. Worked with the likes of Mario and Michael Andretti and Nigel Mansell in his IndyCar stints. And then this car that's going to need some work between today and tomorrow, but it still parks in victory lane, and there's an elated Zach Anderson who talked about the fact that a win or two might keep this season on track. Colin Garrett in with the West Virginia hat to congratulate his co-driver. Great little team, Auto Technic, with a lot of consistency one year to the next, and that's why they have high expectations here this season.
So many solid driver pairings. I'm sure Colin's frustrated he didn't get a lot of racing action, but he'll take the win for sure.
Interesting.
Michael saying he couldn't hear the radio, right? So
That's
he's
what
looking
I
at the
thought he
scoreboard,
said.
it looked like.
Yeah. Well, let's get a chance to hear from our winners now. Amanda is standing by.
Well, Colin, I know you guys picked up a win here last year, so nice to come back and start the season off the way that you did last season. I talked to Zach while you were in the car, and he said that preparation for this year started at the end of last season. How much of that was reflected here?
Yeah, it's super awesome to come back. You know, we obviously won that last race at Indianapolis and be able to come back here and pick it up, you know, right where we left off. We're not really supposed to be here, our sponsorship dollars and everything. Like, this is kind of grace of God that we're here. And, you know, I just got word that we're confirmed through Sebring. So, you know, we're going to keep on rolling, keep this going, and this is pretty big for us. So Zach put in a hell of a stint there, and yeah, this is awesome. So, yeah.
What news that Colin just said? I know we said, and you finished our interview and said that wins matter. Just the flood of emotions for you, I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, Auto Technic always brings a rocket ship to the track. We are like a racing team more than a qualifying team, so like we can kind of get down in the dumps on Saturday morning, but Saturday evening and Sunday morning we're usually flying pretty high, and that's a testament to Charlie and everyone at Auto Technic that preps these cars the way they do. They unload fast. Thank you to everyone that supported us on this journey, and hope to keep it going. I mean, we're definitely tracking upwards from Barber Indy here. Let's just keep it rolling.
Congratulations to this duo, confirmed through Sebring. Awesome news. And moving over to Black Dog, showing back up in a McLaren and getting the win here. Michael, I'll come to you first. We were talking about some of your driver stats during this race, and I don't know if you know this, but you're one of the most winningest active drivers that we have on site now. I think you're 2 or 3 back from George Kurtz. No pressure, but you two getting back together. Just the synergy between you and Tony.
Yeah, Greg Gill just informed me about that. I didn't know that. I'm glad to hear it, but most of that's thanks to this guy and Ray Sorensen and all the guys at Black Dog giving me a great car every time out on track. And it's nice to be back with McLaren this year. You know, these guys put in a lot of work with the car after they got it, and just you know, really glad to be back and back on the top step with these guys after last year was tough. Yeah.
Well, Tony, not trying to jinx it, I came over to you and we said that not all wins are pretty, but we talked about how pivotal that pit stop was. Why is some of the best parts of racing being at the right place, right time?
It's just the way it is, you know. There's so many variables that go into this, and you know, we were in the right spot, as you said, at the right time, so it worked out. You know, they said to come in the pits, and you know, I was the second one coming in, and it was beautiful.
Congratulations to Black Dog Racing. And for our AM pairing, I saw Anthony Garaci walk over to the podium with a full smile on his face, but you sure were nervous sitting up in that pit box overlooking this race. How did you make it through the stint with him in car?
It was challenging, but thank God. I mean, I had a great spotter, and it was wonderful, and Kenny pulled it off for us. It was wonderful.
Kenny, I see you're battling here today and just what was here in Sonoma, but the pairing between you guys and working under the Rafa Racing banner now, what are the expectations on the season?
I mean, it's just one race at a time, really. I mean, the team's fantastic, Kevin and everyone. I mean, it's really a shame what happened to Tyler and Gresham this morning, you know, at the start of the race. But, you know, we did some good strategy. We got a little bit lucky and just kept it clean. And one race at a time, but great team, great co-driver, great everything. Yeah, Cameron Lawrence, spotter, coach, superstar. I mean, I couldn't be happier just to be back here racing. So,
nice job, Kenny. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Winners in the AM class. Congratulations to the pair of them. There is Cameron Lawrence in the background, and we've got Kevin Conway as well watching on, celebrating a hard-earned AM class win. Highlights of the first race of 2025 in Pirelli GT4 America, and it was a frantic start to the race, no question about that. Early in the going, Supra showing the way, but on the opening lap, this collision knocked out 3 cars. It put us behind the safety car as well, and that led to a lengthy delay. On the restart, this incident in front of the fields took out a number of contending cars, and it basically cost the first half of the race in terms of green flag running. Everything happened under the safety car in the first 30 minutes. But on the restart, the racing was great. Kenton Cook caught out a little bit, as did the Random Vandals team, by some of the strategy. They had to fight and scrap and claw to get back onto the podium. And in the final few laps, the fight was fierce. At the front, though, Zach Anderson and Otto Technic picked up a strong win along with Colin Garrett to start the season in style here at Sonoma.